All right, everyone, I'm going to show you a quick way to do some fake pixel art if that's the route you want to go to for your vintage video game thing. So we'll take this screenshot, which is actually a piece of artwork from Iber Alvarado, based off some Destiny 2 artwork, and turn that roughly into this. So the first thing I'd say is I'm working on this on kind of a standalone image. This is probably all going to work better if you actually get your car art set first and do it at your artwork at your final size. That way you don't have to end up with like weird scaling issues. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm doing this. So the first thing you're going to do is, I'm going to show this in Photoshop. I'm pretty sure all this stuff is totally doable in GIMP or other image editors. First thing to do is we'll do a pixelate mosaic filter. And you kind of have to pick what works best for you. Right now, for this image, for this size, 16 pixels works. If 8 pixels works better for you at the final size, that's great. 32, whatever. But that's what you're going to do. So then you'll end up, I'm going to do this with a pre-made file. So you're going to end up with this pixelated image. So the next two things you'll do, you're going to do adjustment layers. That way the original artwork's untouched. And for the record, I always recommend leaving, like duplicating your artwork, so you always have the original you can always go back to. So duplicate, pixelate, and we're going to add two adjustment layers. Your first is you're going to add a plain black and white adjustment layer, which will turn your image black and white. Shocking, I know. Next up, you will add a gradient map layer. And gradient maps basically go, there we go, will basically go, if you look in this little properties thing, whatever's on the far left will map to the darkest color in the original image. Whatever's on the far right maps to the lightest color. So yeah, you can end up with weird negative effects. You can, you can do all sorts of weird color mapping and color combinations. You can actually set this, instead of being a normal layer, to lighten, screen, multiply, whatever works for you to get like the right general appearance. But kind of the thing that makes pixel art look pixel arty, or vintage games look vintage gamey, is a super limited color palette. So what I've done for my actual one is I've created this color map, which goes from the black, which is only real in a couple places, the purple to red, and this pale pink in the middle, almost gray, light blue, light green, yellow, white. And you're not going to get this perfect, but what you're trying to do is you're going to try and make it look like you've only got, like, you can kind of imagine this looking like 32 colors or maybe even 16 colors. So you're really trying to limit like the gradients you have. So this is the one I set up. You do what works for you. And then we're going to save this as a GIF. So in Photoshop, the easiest way to do that is save for web and save it as a GIF 32 no dither. And you'll see this cuts your image down to a 32 color palette. Like nothing in this image will be anything other than those 32 colors. You could lower this to 16 if you wanted. That makes it pretty gross. Do 32. 32, not 132. And you want to leave it as no dither, because if you do dither, and it's probably going to be really hard to see in the compressed version of this, but you'll see it starts to put in little artifacts where it tries to blend between different colors, and you didn't have that in like the Nintendo or the Sega Genesis level. You didn't have it essentially become sub-pixel dithering. So we're just going to leave it GIF 32, no dither, and save. Now, I already did this, of course, so if you open this back up in Photoshop, you'll find this now has index after it. I mean, it's an index color space. You actually aren't going to be able to edit this much right now. Again, to keep things simple, what I really recommend doing is just select all, copy, and paste into the image editor of your choice. So select all, copy, paste. Do it like that. And then from here, you can go in and clean things up really however you want. I recommend making a 16 pixel or 8 pixel or 32 pixel, whatever you pixelate it at in the mosaic filter. Create a square brush that size and use the pencil tool. That way you don't get any hard or any soft edges. The other thing you can do that'll help make your life easy is then go into your Photoshop preferences. Go into Guides, Grid, and Slices. And here under Grid, again, whatever you set that pixelation to in the filter, change that here. So in this case, I have a grid line every 16 pixels and one subdivision. And then go into View, Show, Grid. And it's ugly, but this will help you line your brush up exactly, because you could still go off like the actual pixel grid. You can still paint whatever you want. So this just helps keep things nice and aligned. And so like, for example, I went ahead and I cleaned up the Bungie logo, or what happened to the Bungie logo and the Destiny 2 logo. So that's what that became, and then went ahead and added the Destiny 2 logo on top of it, which I just created from scratch. And of course, I can now see that it's totally misaligned. Actually, it may not be misaligned. This image was not on perfect 16 pixel grid when I started. So, yeah. So what I would just do is I could then go and put that right back on the grid. I can adjust this right here. Just like that. And then if I go ahead and turn off the grid, everything is perfectly pixel aligned, or close enough to it that no one's ever going to tell the difference. So there you go, quick way to make fake pixel art.